Hey guys, welcome back to Release the Craftin. Priscilla here with a little book review. I haven't done one of these in a while, and this is a magical book review because, like I mentioned in my previous unboxings, I had been sent a couple of things by Cross Crow Books, and a book was part of them. And I'm actually really excited to share this book with you because I loved it. I love this book right off the top. Spoiled. I love this. This is my review. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book, and I'm excited to tell it to you. But what is this book, you might ask if you are not seeing it on the screen? It is A Traveler's Guide to Making Magic. This is by Lisa McSherry. And what it said here, I'm not going to read this whole blurb here, I'm just going to tell you about it. But what it said here is Lisa has published 5 books since the turn of the century and looks forward to continuing to do so. In 2006, she started Facing North, a free website for honest reviews of alternative spirituality items, publishing new reviews, sorry, words are really hard, each month. The work she does, teaching and mentoring others along with her coven, Jaguar Moon, fills up her free time. She can always be found at lisamcsherry.com. So really cool. This one says to keep your practice sharp wherever you go. Travel puts us all in liminal spaces, but despite many practitioners' affinity for spaces betwixt and between, they come along with practical and magical dilemmas. A Traveler's Guide to Making Magic provides templates and examples for practicing in a broad range of locations and circumstances. Pagans and witches alike will find utility in this book, worth a spot in their suitcase. So, you guys, I really enjoyed this book. In fact, I read it very quickly. I was a voracious reader when it came to this book. I messed this book up and had to flatten it back out as best as I could. You guys can see I've been folding stuff. I'm also like a highlighter writer of my magical books. I'm gonna have to go back through and make my annotations because I wanted to keep this copy pretty clean for the sake of review purposes. I didn't want to have all my little notes all scraggled all across everything. So I'm going to have to go back and add some of my thoughts and stuff. I wrote them on sticky notes so I could transfer them into here later because I'm weird. But I had a lot to like go with. I really enjoyed this book and like just absolutely ate it up. So I will say right off the top, Lisa McSherry's writing is really accessible and easy to read because I just breezed right on through like faster than I normally do for these types of books because usually they take me a little bit because I find them to be pretty dense reads. But no, I just right on through. So yeah, I definitely love that about this book. It's not a super big book. In fact, the big chunk at the end here is appendixes. So like, yes, this is all appendixes and resources and stuff, which is cool. It came with a lot of resources. And then the intro to this book is actually fairly meaty, but I found it to be really valuable. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So let me see where the introduction ends. Like they're actual chapters. It's not just the introduction, but like the section of the book before you start getting into travel magic specifically is up to 3. So this is all the introductory book stuff, and as you can see, there were dog-eared pages there as well because I had thoughts and feelings about a lot of it, all positive. But I really enjoyed this introduction as opposed to some other like magical type book introductions that I have experienced, because I did not feel that even though this is in that same format of like running magic down to you, it was not redundancy. It was like a refresher. It was a nice little breath of fresh air for these types of books. So essentially this book is about travel and how to travel, where to travel, why to travel, magical things you can do while you're traveling, ways to ensure safe travel, which you think is like a homebody like myself I would not be interested in, but I am actually like a lover of travel and looking to get back out there. I think like I need to, so this is a very timely thing and will really help, I think, to a sort of achieving that goal. Let's see, the chapters are pretty straightforward and really well organized. So we have basic magic, we have correspondences, preparing for travel, tools for the journey, companions for the journey, magic by location, specific spells and charms, travel is a state of mind, general techniques, which is in the appendixes now, all charms, divination, sachets, spells, and talismans in this volume, spell jar components, travel specific symbols, a glossary, references and sources, and a bibliography. So like really straightforward. There's about 260-ish pages in here. I didn't read the bibliography. I definitely skipped over that part. Yeah, 260-ish pages There's another page back here. It doesn't matter. So, like, not a super thick book, so definitely very digestible. Um, so, the introduction is pretty standard. It's pretty straightforward. Talks a little bit about herself, about her experiences and traveling. What I liked the best about this particular part of the introduction was that there was a big emphasis on ethical travel and how to do so ethically and sustainably. So, like, there's a whole list on, like, you know, what to do: turn off the power, eliminate disposables, be conscious of your waste, be courteous to nature. Like, these are things that you think, like, come sort of standard, but people sometimes need to be told or reminded, like, that these are ways you can do it. And, like, choosing to walk and use the local, like, metro or public transportation as opposed to, like, getting a car or, you know, like, driving all over the place. There was also, like, a bunch of, like, programs and stuff that you could look into for more resources and stuff to learn on that. And that's what I will say, is that there's a lot of mindfulness in this book that I really appreciated, but also, like, a call to action, sort of like, here's some more things that you could do. There's also a very hefty bit of footnoting happening here. And then, you know, it continues to go on, sort of talking about, like, lodging and stuff like that. These were pretty straightforward stuff, how to use the book, things like that. So, like, this actual, like, introduction part, not super, like, meaty for me, because I didn't particularly care. I like the meat and potatoes part of this, even though I'm a vegetarian. I will use this idiom till I die. But, I did just like that. The part where we talked about sustainable, ethical travel really stood out for me in the introduction. And then we're into basic magic. And what I really liked about this is that the stuff that was listed here is stuff that I use in my own practice and emphasizes, like, really important things in my practice. So, like, intention, which is what I folded here. That was just really important because I stress that a lot, especially if you guys are with me on Patreon. When I'm talking about magical stuff over there, like, can't stress to you enough how much intention matters, and I talk about it a lot over there because it's so important to me. And then, you know, there's, like, a little bit on energy work, sensing energy, meditation, manipulating energy. Like, these are really important things that, like, don't get brought up a lot. So there is some bit on breath work and sympathetic magic, the meanings behind as above, so below, which is just really important stuff that, like, I feel like is a great refresher if you've been practicing for a long time. But if you're new to it, these are really good things to, like, incorporate into your practice and good jumping off points for further research. So, like, I just really appreciated that the sort of refresher bit that's sort of standard in these, like, witchy books was refreshing. It was really well written, and it wasn't, like, overly complex or wordy or anything like that. So everything was given, like, really accessibly and easy to, like, sort of assume into your brain space. And then we get into correspondences, and this is a whole chapter of correspondences, which I love. I saved this one because there was a little like, sung prayer that she sang to Mercury during, like, a thunderstorm. But then there was, like, an explanation on, like, why like, we use these symbols and how they come about and how to make these associations. And I actually really love this as an exercise because this is, like, how to sort of come up with the associations for pine and the correspondences that would go with it. This is the example given. So you make this, like, flow chart, and then you, like, branch off of that, and you're getting all these, like, correspondences that go with pine. So this is a really good way to, like, help attach yourself to why we attach these meanings to certain things when we're doing our magical stuff, like why these correspondences are what they are. You might be like, I don't understand why bay is associated with fire, but everybody tells me in all the books that bay is associated with fire. But if you were to do, like, a flow chart like this, you might be able to make those associations by building this, like, association tree and understand why we make those connections to the element and stuff like that for certain things. So I just thought that was really interesting and really cool. And then there's this huge section on all the different correspondences, so you have, like, a quick reference guide. And then what I thought was really neat was just a section on the planets, because I thought this was really comprehensive. So there's a lot here for the planets. You got the symbol that goes with each one of them, the day of the week, the zodiac signs, the animals, the colors, the plants, the stones, and the domains that they cover. So, like, the things that are associated with them. So I thought that was really, really neat. And then there's, like, even a little bit about when the moon is in a certain zodiac sign. So those are really cool. I'm not trying to show you guys the whole book because I want you to pick it up. It's definitely a really fun read. And then there is this list of the 7 most sacred places on Earth. which I thought was just a neat thing to like keep track of. But it also came with a big like listing of the different sacred places around the world. So like beyond these like big main 7, there's like different places you could consider visiting if you wanted to have sort of a spiritual connection or a spiritual journey. And they're broken up by region or country or continent, depending on what you're looking at. So those were just really cool. And then like how to do these offerings and stuff. And then what I thought was really neat was this part, which is practical magic on what you're packing. I feel like I skipped something. Magic is a location. Or maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I'm ahead of my own brain. That is perhaps the case. Yes, I'm ahead of myself. There was a whole tarot card and pendulum section there too. So lots of cool things to incorporate into this. But this was cool because it was being real. We're in the preparing for travel section. So this is a very realistic way to like approach this. But it gives you like a whole list of different things to consider when you're packing for your trip. Like how to avoid overpacking. Things that you can use to make packing easier. So, like, it's not just a, like, here's the witchy stuff. It's also, like, here's a really practical approach to travel, which I think is really important because, you know, you might get up in your head a little bit about all the magical things going into play that you're not considering, like, the actual reality behind things. But also, like, just having, like, a list of things that are essential for travel, especially if you're traveling abroad, is, like, really clever and a really good idea. And some of these come with little stories or, like, important notes that would help sort of shape what you're going to put on your list of things that you have to bring, your travel essentials. And then there's a couple of like additional things that you might want to add. And then we have tools for the journey, and this was really neat because it has a whole section on sigil magic, and like it's an in-depth section even if it's a very short section. So that's what I really, really appreciate about this book, is that everything in this is like a sort of condensed version of like the things that you would need to do this stuff, but it's all very comprehensive. So like no space is wasted in this book by going over these things. But it's all like right here. So like you could use this book as a reference guide for many other things because it covers so many topics in such a rapid fire fashion that like it's just a great jumping off point, but also a great reference point to come back and be like, okay, well, I did see that in this book, so like how can I use that for something else? It's right here to explain it to you how it works. So there's this whole explanation on how sigil magic works with the different grid systems you can use, the different types of sigils you can use, like for these sort of things, how you would make those sigils and symbols. And then, like, the ways that you can use them, ways that you can use them permanently, the ways that you can make them temporary. And then it goes on into, like, jewelry and stuff like that. So a bunch of, like, other practical things that you could do because we're on tools for the journey. So these are things that you can bring with you. You can bring, you know, jewelry with you. You can bring sigils with you. And then there are companions for the journey. That's where we are now. So there's, like, shielding yourself, which is really important when you're traveling and you're interacting with a bunch of people and their energy. Then you've got like calling in the quarters. There's a whole section on working with deities, and then there's like a little bit of an anecdote here where she talks about herself and how you will do that, but also ways to approach working with deities and deciding what deity you're going to use here. What I really loved here, this is the section I was looking for, was that there's a whole section here on cultural appropriation, which I think is also really important because people don't talk about this enough. They just say do the thing if it connects with you, but sometimes you gotta kind of consider how you're approaching things, and I really appreciate that. But it's not done in like an admonishment type of way. It's just like, hey, here's some things to consider when you're choosing these deities and what you're working with. And then we're given a whole list of deities that are associated with travel, so that if you are choosing to work with deity for travel, you have a really comprehensive list of deities to like look at, which is a great jumping off point. So like that was really cool. I love it. It's all over the world. It's not just sort of focused on anything in particular, which is kind of great. I really love that. And then there's a little bit about like setting up an altar, doing those sort of things. And then we move into what's this section called? Magic by location. And this covers like a lot of elemental type magic and using the space and the power of place to like do your magic. And I just really love that there was a paper airplane spell. You're traveling paper airplanes, that makes total sense, but also a great way to connect with the element of air is via paper airplane. So I just thought that was really fun and really cool that this was included in here, because I like that it's not taking itself super seriously. Like, you should still have fun with your magic. And then what did I save here? Oh, that we're in the specific spells and charms section, and I really just appreciated that the spells were very simple and straightforward. There was like they weren't super overly complicated, which I think is also important because if you are traveling or trying to travel, you don't need to have a bunch of complicated spell work before you do so. That is so stressful, especially if like you're in the middle of it to have like a really complicated spell to like enhance clear communication, and you have to go find like a whole laundry list of things to make your spell work. It's not going to happen. You're not going to do it. You're not going to do the magic. So having simpler magic that's a little bit more accessible and like a little bit easy to like pick from is just really, really great. So like this is, you need a piece of carnelian and benzoin incense because it's related to Mercury. So you can use another incense related to Mercury. The element of air is related to Mercury, so any incense would be related to Mercury if you really wanted to sort of stretch that thought out. But all you need is a crystal and a bit of incense, and it comes with a little thing that you say, and there you have it. You have your whole spell, which I think is just really important because like I get so like bogged down by the spells that have, you know, like 20 ingredients and components and steps. So I just thought that was really cool. Some of them have more things than others, but for the most part, they're all very simple, very straightforward, which is how magic should be for the most part. Especially when you're traveling, you don't have time to go find all these things and get all this stuff together. Oh, this was the one I just folded. I saved this because it was another thing for Mercury, and I work with like Greek deities in my own practice, so I was like, this will come up again. You're going to want this again. And it was just a charm bag specifically for Mercury, so I thought that was neat. There's a little bit here about working with runes. And some more spells. There was this spell section is huge. It is a meaty spell section, so I also really appreciate that. And then there's like different ways to travel without leaving your house. So if you can't afford to travel, there's different ways to sort of do so, and those are listed here. So I thought that was really cool because, you know, like, money is not moneying right now. The economy is not economying, especially if you're in America, you're struggling like the rest of us. And so having ways that you can travel without having to sort of spend like a lot of money or like leave your home to go like far distances to sort of still get that little bit of like travel enrichment is great. So having these suggestions I thought was a really fantastic thing and really, really nice. There's a little bit about how to sort of manifest via vision board, which I love. I love vision boards. Different ways to keep little travels like with you, like to build a little travel altar, things that you would put on it. And then we hit the appendixes, which I saved because I just thought that this is really cool because there's techniques back here that you can use that are like sort of mentioned in the book. So there's things that you can refer back to. All the charms and stuff are listed here so that if you need to like a quick reference guide to see like what you're looking for, you can find it here and find it by type of spell or like magical things. So like you have talismans, sachets, spells, charms, divinations. You can look for that specific thing and know that it's in here and then go look it up in the book. And then this one I just thought was really cool. It's spell jar component. So it gives you like the steps on how to make a spell jar, how to assemble it. And then it gives you all the ingredients for specific correspondences so that you can have like a really quick reference guide to build a quick spell jar without having to like flip through all over the pages of the book to figure out what you're looking for. So if you're looking for something for protection, you can pick a couple items from here. You can pick one item from here and stick it in a little tiny spell jar and have that to go. So I just thought that was really neat. So this book was like really fun. It was a really fun read, really easy breezy. I think I'm gonna share this with a friend of mine because I know that she's trying to travel more. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. So I'm like thankful that Crosscrow Books sent this to me because I had such a good time. And hope that you guys, if you have read it, let me know what you think about it. If you're going to read it, also let me know. I'm very interested in what your opinion and takeaway on this book is. If you would pick it up for yourself. If not, I don't know. I don't get compensated for these videos. I should probably mention that. They just sent me these books to review. That's my compensation, was that I got something for free to review it. But yeah, that's it for me, you guys. I want to jump off of here because I don't want this to be super long. But I appreciate your faces if you made it to the end of the video, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Until then, guys, happy crafting and goodbye.